Hey guys, joining me back in the garage today, doing a little project. So let's see how it turns out. I'm gonna document it as we go. And as you go through this video, you're gonna kind of see my process. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you what I'm working on. So I've been looking at targets. Last year I shot my target out during and after the end of season. So this summer shot a little bit before it kind of completely fell apart and wouldn't stop arrows anymore. So I had an old bag target, which fell apart pretty quickly, and I had an old block target. And when I say old, I'm talking like 10, 15 years old, that did not last more than about a season. I had gotten it from somebody as a freebie and hadn't been shot much, and then when I started shooting it, it kind of disintegrated within the year. So I've been looking, and I am still going to get a target. I've been looking at a couple on Amazon. I will probably invest in the future, probably a foam, like a high roller or something like that, or a knockoff version to maybe do a little bit of broadhead testing before season. But what I'm working on is, I work at a school district. We've been purging and getting rid of a bunch of junk and throwing stuff out. And there are several old carpets that have been pitched. And I am going to see about putting a compression target together for just my field points. And so far, got about half the rug cut up, and that's about what I've got. It's about 12 to 13 inches tall. I figure when I get done, it's gonna be somewhere around 24 inches tall. It is 15 inches deep and about 18 inches wide. So the target's gonna be about 18 inches wide on the front. It's gonna be about 15 inches deep. And my hope is I've got two old carpets that I can get somewhere around between 2 and 3 foot tall before I compress. And then of course, when I compress it down, it's probably gonna be closer to 2, 2.5. So I'm gonna keep cutting, just using a razor blade, a general cardboard template, and see what happens. As you guys are watching that little bit of film there, all I'm doing is cutting it into basically the 15 inch wide strips all the way across the carpet, and then I'm cutting it down to that 18 to 20 inch front so that they just stack. Then all I'm trying to do, sorry guys, using my phone, don't have my good camera out. Then all I'm doing is trying to lay a flat front. So let me turn it around, show you a little bit more, and then we'll wrap this video up. So as I'm going, I'm just trying to keep the front of this as smooth as possible. I'm probably gonna flip some of these around. When you compress this, it's obviously gonna tighten things up a little bit. And I'm just gonna use ratchet straps. I'm gonna cut some of this 3/4 inch plywood underneath it into sections that are just a little bit wider left and right than the carpet, and then run the straps around that and compress it down. So we're gonna see, hopefully by the end of tonight, I will have something that I can go shoot a field point into and stop it, start doing a little bit of practicing again. So target number 2 that I'm gonna be working on is, and I'm kind of throwing this into the video guys, so as you can tell the light's on, a little bit darker. Not gonna get a chance to test them tonight. Hopefully get that to you maybe in the near future. But 2 things, just showed you that I was working on a carpet target and it turned out okay. It's about 18 inches tall, about 18 inches wide. So kind of like a small block target, nothing too bad. I'm probably not gonna shoot the edges much. I don't feel like there's gonna be enough compression for that. So I'm gonna test the compression, tighten it down with the ratchet straps. Obviously, my hope is, or my goal would be in the near future, is to go get a couple 2x12s and actually do an all thread or some form of ratchet strap that really tightens it down. But I'm gonna test it out and I'll let you guys see that. The other thing that I found while I was at work was a bunch of boxes. Obviously, beginning of school, everybody has boxes. So I'm also trying box targets. So you guys have seen all these DIY stuff on YouTube. I'm not gonna necessarily give you a tutorial on how to. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. But as you guys can see from these pictures, I'm stuffing these boxes with about 10 or 12 layers of cardboard boxes. And the boxes themselves are like 4 foot by 3 foot. So it's gonna be a pretty good sized target. I have 3 of those large boxes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna pack those as tight as possible. I may even go back and open them up and shove some more in if I have leftover boxes. Then I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shrink wrap the outsides and around the ends and get probably several hundred feet of just saran wrap, shrink wrap, and wrap those suckers pretty tight, get them all together, and I will have 3 deep of those big boxes. So I'm not just shooting a compound into one of these. Obviously that wouldn't stop it, but I am gonna shoot it into 3, and I'm gonna try to compact this in there as tightly as possible. So we'll see. If it works out okay, I may actually wrap it with some garden fabric or black plastic and really wrap it in there tight and put some targets on the front and just shoot, see what happens. But this is all for just field points and hopefully end up with something worthwhile. So this video is just to show you what I'm doing. Hopefully by next week, I'll have you a video of what exactly the result of these targets are. So stay tuned, guys.